On an autumn afternoon, while walking through a residential neighborhood in Westchester County, New York, Elizabeth Harrison received a call from her mother, Helen. The sound of her mother's voice made her shoulders tense up reflexively. "Elizabeth, it's about Jessica." Helen's voice carried its usual tone of demand. Elizabeth stopped walking and took a deep breath. Despite her success as a real estate agent and the happy home she'd built with her husband David and their 2 children, her mother's calls always transported her back to being a helpless little girl. "Is something wrong?" "She's getting married. To a wonderful man named Michael who works in IT." Elizabeth let out a small sigh. Her younger sister Jessica had never held a steady job, bouncing from one part-time position to another at cafes and boutiques. Beautiful and sociable, Jessica had always commanded attention and monopolized their parents' affection. "That's wonderful. What's Michael like?" "He's very sincere and kind. He truly loves Jessica. But she's worried about the wedding." As Elizabeth continued walking, she felt alarm bells going off in her head. Since childhood, the word worried always led to demands on her. When she was 7 and Jessica cried for a new bicycle, their parents said, "You're the big sister, so give yours to Jessica." In high school, when Jessica wanted her driver's license, it was, "Big sister should sacrifice so we can pay for Jessica's driving lessons." During college, Elizabeth worked nights and relied on scholarships to pay her tuition. Meanwhile, Jessica's college expenses were fully covered by their parents, who even gave her monthly spending money. When Elizabeth protested the unfairness, her mother always said the same thing: "It's natural for you to take care of your little sister." The situation worsened 10 years ago when their father died suddenly of a heart attack. Though their mother lived on a pension and their father's modest life insurance, she never stopped supporting Jessica. Instead, her financial demands on Elizabeth increased. Home repairs, Jessica's car repairs, medical bills, vacation expenses. Elizabeth was always worn down by her mother's words, "We're family, after all." What's she worried about? The money for the wedding. Jessica wants a beautiful wedding, but Michael's salary alone isn't enough. "I'm living on a pension, so I can't help much." Elizabeth arrived at her house and leaned against her car. She could see her husband David playing in the yard with their 12-year-old son Ryan and 9-year-old daughter Emily. Their laughter carried over to her. Elizabeth's own family was a world filled with the love and stability she had built. "How much do you need?" "About $50,000. Jessica is dreaming of a truly beautiful wedding. A reception at a luxury hotel, a designer dress, she wants everything to be perfect." $50,000. Elizabeth closed her eyes. That was most of the retirement fund she and her husband had been steadily building for 15 years. It was also money they'd been saving for their children's college education. "Mom, that's a lot of money. We're not exactly swimming in cash either." "But you're a successful real estate agent. You live in a beautiful house and own 2 cars. This is Jessica's once-in-a-lifetime wedding. As her big sister, you want your little sister to be happy, don't you?" Elizabeth swallowed her words of protest. She had lived by this same logic all her life. "Because you're the big sister. Because we're family. Blood is thicker than water." She could see David waving with the children. He had understood and supported her family's complicated dynamics since they married 16 years ago. But lately, he had begun gently questioning her continued support of her mother and sister. "All right, Mom. I'll think about it. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm so proud of you. Jessica must feel so blessed to have a sister like you." After hanging up, Elizabeth stood leaning against her car for a long time. The evening sun painted the neighborhood golden, and she could hear sounds of dinner preparation from nearby houses. It was an ordinary, peaceful evening scene. But inside Elizabeth's heart, anger and resignation that had been building for years swirled together. When she entered the house, David frowned at her expression. "Your mother again? Jessica's getting married. They want help with the wedding." "How much?" $50,000. David sighed deeply. But he knew to respect Elizabeth's decisions. He understood that it was part of the complex sense of duty she felt toward her family. That night, Elizabeth sat in their bedroom staring at bank statements. If she helped with $50,000, their retirement fund would be cut by more than half. Their children's college savings would also be drastically reduced. But refusing was unthinkable. The next morning, Elizabeth called her mother. "Mom, I've decided to help." "Really?" "Thank you, Elizabeth. You can't imagine how happy Jessica will be." After hanging up, Elizabeth stared out the window. The autumn sky was cloudlessly blue, but heavy clouds hung over her heart. A week after Elizabeth decided to help with Jessica's wedding, her sister called for the first time in a while. Elizabeth was a bit surprised to receive a direct call from Jessica, who usually only communicated through their mother. "Thank you so much. Michael and I are truly grateful for your kindness." Jessica's voice was full of excitement, and Elizabeth felt her sister's pure joy for the first time in a while. Perhaps this time Jessica had truly grown and felt genuine gratitude. Such hope sprouted in Elizabeth's heart. "Congratulations, Jessica. What's Michael like?" "I haven't met him yet. He's truly wonderful. He's an IT consultant, very serious and kind. I can tell he really loves me." As Elizabeth listened to her sister's happy voice, she felt conflicted. If Jessica had truly found someone to love, she wanted to celebrate that wholeheartedly. But at the same time, she felt the weight of contributing $50,000. "When are you planning the wedding?" "The third Saturday of next month. We're having the reception at the Plaza Hotel in Manhattan. I'd really like you to come as family." The Plaza Hotel. Elizabeth frowned. It was one of New York's most luxurious hotels, and the wedding costs would be astronomical. She worried that $50,000 might not even be enough. "That sounds lovely. But the Plaza Hotel must be extremely expensive. Are you sure $50,000 will be enough?" "It'll be fine. Michael's parents are helping a little too, and we have some savings. Your money will mainly go toward the dress, flowers, and photography." Elizabeth felt relieved. Her sister seemed to be thinking realistically about the budget, and it didn't appear to be a reckless plan. "That's good to hear. Let me know if there's anything else I can help with. Wedding planning must be exhausting." "Thank you, sis. But Michael, Mom, and I can handle most of it. You're busy with work and your family, so don't overdo it." After hanging up, Elizabeth felt a bit lonely. She had wanted to be involved in her sister's wedding preparations, but Jessica's words gave her the impression that she'd rather keep her distance. The following week, Elizabeth went to the bank to write a check for $50,000. Her husband David came with her to confirm their remaining retirement balance. "So we have $38,000 left," David sighed. "I'm sorry, David. But we're family." "I understand. I know how much you love your family. I just wish you'd think about yourself sometimes too." Elizabeth's heart ached at her husband's words. David had supported her devotion to her family for 16 years. But lately, she sensed his patience was nearing its limit. When she went to give Jessica the check, her sister cried tears of gratitude. Their mother Helen was also present, holding Elizabeth's hands and repeatedly saying, "You're such a good big sister. Let me know when the wedding details are finalized. I'd like to see the dress and help with anything I can." "Of course. But don't worry too much. Mom and I will handle all the preparations." In the following weeks, Elizabeth heard nothing from Jessica about the wedding's progress. Even from their mother, she only received vague reports that everything's going smoothly. When Elizabeth asked for specifics, she was given reasons like Jessica's too busy or coordinating with Michael's family and wasn't told any details. One day, Elizabeth happened to see her sister coming out of a bridal shop in Manhattan. Jessica was carrying a beautiful wedding dress bag and talking happily with their mother. Elizabeth was about to call out to them, but the two didn't notice her and drove away. In her busy days with real estate work, Elizabeth sometimes thought about her sister's wedding. She couldn't understand why she was being excluded from the preparation process when she was supposed to be invited. Despite contributing a large sum of money, she felt like an outsider. A week before the wedding, Elizabeth resolved to call Jessica. Jessica, just one more week until the wedding. Is there anything I can help with at the last minute? Thanks, sis. But everything's fine. It's all going smoothly. Have you decided on the dress? I'd love to see pictures. I'll send them later. I'm busy with final adjustments right now. Of course. By the way, could you give me the detailed timing and reception location? I still haven't received the invitation. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Oh, I thought I sent it. Maybe it got lost in the mail. It's at the Plaza Hotel, 3rd floor, Rose Room at 2 p.m. for the ceremony. The reception is in the ballroom on the same floor at 6 p.m. Got it. I'm looking forward to it. After hanging up, Elizabeth felt uneasy. The missing invitation and her sister's reaction seemed off somehow. But she convinced herself that Jessica was just busy with wedding preparations. That evening, Elizabeth explained the wedding details to her husband and children. Next Saturday, I'm going to Jessica's wedding. Can you watch the kids? Of course. But are you okay? You've seemed tired lately with your sister's situation. I'm fine. I just feel a bit left out. Even after contributing $50,000? It's not about the money. I just wanted to be more involved as family. David placed his hand on his wife's shoulder. You always put family first. But I wish you'd take care of yourself sometimes too. The day before the wedding, Elizabeth had her hair done at a salon and prepared a new dress. She wanted to look her best to celebrate her sister's important day. That night, lying in bed, Elizabeth reflected on childhood memories. The joy when Jessica was born, the days they played together, and the gradual unfairness she began to feel. Tomorrow was the day her sister would be happy. She'd forget past grievances and celebrate wholeheartedly. With that resolution, Elizabeth fell asleep. The next morning, Elizabeth woke with special feelings. Today was her sister's wedding. Perhaps it would be an opportunity to overcome their complicated relationship and build a new family bond. With such hope, she carefully prepared herself. At 1:30 p.m., Elizabeth arrived at the Plaza Hotel's main entrance. The autumn sunshine in New York illuminated the hotel's elegant facade, and the doorman politely opened her car door. Elizabeth was dressed in a deep navy silk dress, appropriately attired for her sister's wedding. The lobby was as luxurious as ever, and she could see what appeared to be wedding guests gathering near the elevators. Elizabeth took the elevator to the 3rd floor, heading for the Rose Room. In her heart, anticipation was building for ending her long relationship with her sister and forging new family bonds. Arriving on the 3rd floor, she looked for signs directing her to the Rose Room. However, the hallway was wrapped in silence, with no atmosphere suggesting a wedding was taking place. Elizabeth continued walking, somewhat confused but still searching for the venue. When she reached the Rose Room, it was completely dark and empty. Elizabeth checked her watch. Only 10 minutes until the ceremony was supposed to start. Perhaps they were still preparing. She approached a hotel staff member walking nearby. Excuse me, I understand there's a wedding in the Rose Room? The young female staff member looked apologetic. I'm sorry, but there are no events scheduled in the Rose Room today. Perhaps you have the wrong date or venue? Elizabeth's heart began racing. No, I was definitely told today at 2 p.m. It's Jessica Harrison and Michael's wedding. The staff member checked her tablet. Please wait a moment. A few minutes later, an older male manager appeared. Ma'am, I apologize, but there's no wedding scheduled in the Rose Room today. However, yesterday, Saturday, Jessica Harrison and Michael Thompson's wedding was held in the ballroom. Elizabeth was speechless. Yesterday? Yes. It was a very beautiful wedding. The bride was truly lovely, and her family members seemed very pleased. In Elizabeth's head, she could hear the sound of everything crashing down. Her sister had held the wedding yesterday and had lied to her about the date. When you say family members seemed pleased, what kind of people were there? There was a distinguished woman who appeared to be the bride's mother and several other relatives. Her mother knew too. Her mother was also complicit. Elizabeth took out her smartphone with trembling hands and dialed Jessica's number. After several rings, her sister's bright voice responded. "Oh, sis. What's up?" "Jessica, I'm at the Plaza Hotel right now. But there's no wedding happening." There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then Jessica began laughing. A bright, carefree laugh. "Oh, that's what this is about. Sis, the wedding was yesterday. It was wonderful. Thanks to you, everything was perfect. The dress, the flowers, the photography, everything was like a dream." Elizabeth couldn't stand any longer and collapsed into a chair in the hotel lobby. "Why didn't you tell me the real date?" "Because if you came, everyone would have felt uncomfortable. Especially Mom. Besides, you're busy, aren't you? With work and your family." "Am I not family? Am I not your sister?" "Of course you're family. But a different type of family. You're the one who provides support. We're the ones who receive support. Everyone has their role." Elizabeth felt like she couldn't breathe. Did Mom know too? Of course. Mom was looking forward to my wedding too. She's with us on our honeymoon now. We're in Hawaii. Michael, me, and Mom, all three of us. Isn't that nice? Mom is on your honeymoon too? Mom had never been to Hawaii before. We brought her along to celebrate our happiness. Your money made everyone happy. Shouldn't you be grateful? Elizabeth could hear her mother's voice in the background. "Jessica, is that Elizabeth? What's wrong? Sis is calling about the wedding." Her mother's voice came closer. Apparently Jessica had handed over the phone. "Elizabeth, what's the matter?" "Mom, why? Why didn't you tell me the truth?" "I didn't want to hurt you. But we wanted Jessica's wedding to be a small ceremony with just family. You being there would have made us nervous somehow." "My presence makes you nervous? You're such a successful woman. Jessica feels a little pressure around you. We wanted her to relax and enjoy her wedding day." Elizabeth gripped the phone tighter. "So you held the ceremony with my $50,000 but didn't invite me because it would help Jessica relax? Don't make it about money. As her sister, it's natural for you to support your little sister's happiness. Expecting something in return is unseemly. I'm not expecting anything in return. I just wanted to be treated like family." Her mother's voice turned cold. "You are family. Just a different kind of family. The kind that provides support. That's a respectable role too, isn't it?" Elizabeth couldn't stop crying. "I've always endured everything. For Jessica, for the family, I've sacrificed everything. And yet. Sacrifice? You're successful, aren't you? You have a wonderful husband and children, and you live in a big house. Jessica has struggled through life. It's natural for a big sister to help out a little." Jessica's voice returned. "Don't think too deeply about it. The wedding was wonderful. Michael, Mom, everyone was so happy. Your money gave me the best day of my life. Isn't that enough?" "It's not enough." Elizabeth's voice was trembling. "What have I been living for? Why have I worked, saved money, and devoted myself to family? You've fulfilled your role as a big sister. Isn't that wonderful?" "My role? Am I an ATM machine?" Jessica sounded slightly irritated. "Don't put it that way. We're family, so it's natural to help each other. You get love from us too, don't you?" "Love?" Elizabeth stood up. "This is love? Excluding me from the wedding, deceiving me, using me? Using is such a harsh word. We're just relying on you as family. What's wrong with that?" Elizabeth took a deep breath. "Forget it. Enjoy your honeymoon. Sis, don't be angry. Let's talk again. Elizabeth hung up. Sitting alone in the Plaza Hotel lobby, her tears wouldn't stop. Her 38 years of life felt completely meaningless. Walking to her car after leaving the hotel, Elizabeth turned back to look up at the building. Yesterday, her sister's wedding had taken place here. With her money. Excluding her. Deceiving her. After getting in her car, Elizabeth sat there for a long time. The sunset was beginning to set between Manhattan's buildings. It was a beautiful Sunday evening. But inside Elizabeth's heart was a darkness unlike anything she had ever experienced. 2 weeks later, on a Thursday night, Elizabeth sat in her study with a thick file in front of her. During these 2 weeks, she had conducted an investigation between work commitments. Using a private investigator's services, she had collected all possible information about Jessica's wedding. The file contained copies of bills from the Plaza Hotel, receipts from bridal shops, contracts with photographers, receipts from florists, and most importantly, recorded conversations. Elizabeth had recorded everything when her mother asked for the $50,000 contribution. The caution she had developed in the real estate industry had proved unexpectedly useful. The doorbell rang. Elizabeth checked her watch. 7 p.m. Right on schedule. Jessica was carrying a brand new Louis Vuitton handbag and wearing an obviously expensive coat. Her Hawaii tan was still visible, and she wore an expression full of happiness. How was the honeymoon? It was amazing. Michael and Mom were so happy. It's all thanks to you. Leading her to the living room, Jessica looked around. Still such a lovely house. Actually, I came today because I have a favor to ask. Elizabeth smiled. What kind of favor? We need a down payment for our new place. Michael and I found a wonderful condominium in Manhattan, but we're $30,000 short. $30,000. Right. You can handle that, can't you, sis? You'll help us one more time, won't you? Elizabeth took a deep breath. Before that, let's talk about the wedding. What's to talk about? It's over, isn't it? Elizabeth went to her study and brought back the file, placing it on the coffee table. These are the actual costs of your wedding. Opening the file, the first page showed a bill from the Plaza Hotel. Venue and reception, $8,000. Jessica's expression changed. So what? You told me the venue alone would cost $25,000. Turning to the next page revealed a wedding dress receipt. Dress, $3,000. You said $15,000, didn't you? Sis, what are you doing? Flowers, photography, sound system, everything together came to $9,000. About the same $10,000 you mentioned. But the total was $20,000. $30,000 less than the $50,000 I contributed. Elizabeth opened another page. This $30,000 difference, where did it go? Jessica stood up. You investigated us? Don't I have the right to know how my money was used? I can't believe it. Suspecting your own family? Elizabeth answered quietly. Family shouldn't lie to each other. Jessica showed her anger openly. It's just money. You have plenty, don't you? Just money? Elizabeth stood up. You call the retirement fund my husband and I saved for 15 years, just money? But you have other assets too. The house, the cars. That house and those cars are things we worked to obtain. We're not living by depending on others like you. Tears welled up in Jessica's eyes. That's so cruel. I work hard too. Elizabeth took out a recording device. Let's listen to this. When the recording played, their mother's voice echoed, about $50,000. Jessica is really dreaming of a beautiful wedding. A reception at a luxury hotel, a designer dress, she wants everything to be perfect. Then Jessica's voice could be heard, Sis's money will mainly go toward the dress, flowers, and photography. When the recording stopped, Jessica had turned pale. This is illegal. Recording me without permission. In New York State, recording is legal with one party's consent. It's common knowledge in real estate. Elizabeth opened another file. Now, about where that $30,000 went. The page contained purchase histories from luxury brand shops, payment records from high-end restaurants, and detailed costs for the Hawaii trip. Louis Vuitton bag, $8,000. Hermes scarf, $1,200. Tiffany necklace, $4,500. And the Hawaii trip, $16,300. You really did investigate us. I consulted with a lawyer too, since this might constitute fraud. Jessica slumped down. Fraud? It's just money between family members. Obtaining money through false explanations can constitute fraud even between family members. Elizabeth opened the last page. There was a document with a law firm letterhead. This is a promissory note. To repay $30,000 at $500 per month, with no interest. That's impossible. We don't have that kind of money. Then let's go to the police. I have sufficient evidence of fraud. Jessica began crying. Sis, please. I don't want Michael to know about this. It would ruin our newlywed life. That's for you to decide. Sign the promissory note or we go to the police. After a long silence, Jessica took the promissory note with trembling hands. You're really going to do this to family? Because we're family, we should do what's right. Jessica took the pen and signed through her tears. This isn't the end. Don't forget to transfer $500 every month. Jessica stood up. What should I tell Mom? Tell her the truth. That you embezzled $30,000. Mom doesn't know. I did this alone. Elizabeth smiled coldly. Mom was complicit too. She lied about the wedding date. That's a separate matter. It's all connected. Proof that you both only see me as an ATM. Jessica headed for the door. We can never go back to the way things were, can we? I don't want to go back, Elizabeth answered. The one-sided relationship we had before is over. We'll either build an equal relationship or end it completely. Your choice. Jessica turned around. You're destroying a 30-year sisterhood over money? You destroyed it. You betrayed my trust and love for family. The sound of the door closing echoed. Elizabeth was left alone in the living room. Returning to her study, Elizabeth opened another file. It contained detailed records of all the support she had provided to her mother and sister over the past 10 years. Car repairs, medical bills, vacation expenses, moving costs, and various other things. The total reached $230,000. Elizabeth sighed deeply. The numbers clearly showed how she had been used all these years. But at the same time, she felt liberated. She was finally free from the curse of, because you're the big sister. When her husband David came home, Elizabeth told him everything that had happened that night. You did well. You finally learned to value yourself. But our family relationships are completely destroyed. Real family relationships never existed in the first place, did they? Elizabeth pondered her husband's words. Indeed, their previous relationship wasn't family love but simply dependence and exploitation. That night, lying in bed, Elizabeth felt the beginning of a new life. The unequal relationship that had lasted 38 years was over. From now on, she would live treasuring relationships with people who truly loved her. With that resolution, Elizabeth fell into a peaceful sleep for the first time in a long while. 6 months later in spring, Elizabeth was on an airplane heading to Disneyland in California with her husband David and their children. Looking at the sea of clouds spreading outside the window, she reflected on the changes of the past 6 months. Jessica's repayments had continued as promised, $500 each month. She heard through the grapevine that her sister was juggling multiple part-time jobs, a coffee shop in the early morning, a boutique in the afternoon, and a restaurant at night. Eventually, she couldn't hide the debt from Michael, and their newlywed life had become quite different from their initial plans. Their mother Helen's reputation in the neighborhood had deteriorated significantly. Elizabeth's years of supporting her mother and sister were well known in the community, and when word spread that she had excluded her own daughter from the wedding, many people began avoiding Helen. She was also distanced from the church women's group, losing the social status she had built over the years. Elizabeth herself had experienced a dramatic improvement in her life over these 6 months. She could now direct the time and energy she had spent on her mother and sister toward her own family. Her son Ryan was excelling on the soccer team, and her daughter Emily had won a prize in a piano competition. Her relationship with David had also regained the intimacy of their newlywed days since being freed from financial stress. Work-wise, Elizabeth's increased focus had led to her best performance ever, earning recognition from her real estate company. Removing the mental burden had allowed her to fully demonstrate her true abilities. "Mom, we're almost there," her son Ryan called out excitedly. Elizabeth smiled and patted her son's head. This trip was planned using the money from Jessica's repayments. Ironically, the $30,000 her sister had embezzled was now being used to create happy memories for her own family. "What do you want to ride today?" "Space Mountain," her daughter Emily answered. "I'm going to ride with Dad." David squeezed his wife's hand. "It's been a while since we had a family trip. I'm really happy that you've started taking care of yourself." Elizabeth's heart warmed at her husband's words. Never once in her life had she put her own happiness first. She had always believed that love meant meeting others' expectations and making sacrifices. But she had learned that true love meant respecting and supporting each other, not one-sided devotion. When the plane landed, California's warm sunshine welcomed the family. While checking into their hotel, Elizabeth received a message from her mother on her smartphone. "Elizabeth, I have something I'd like to discuss with you. Please contact me when you have time." Elizabeth read the message and put her phone back in her bag. Right now, time with her family was the priority. Her mother's contact could wait until after the trip. In Disneyland, watching her children's smiles, Elizabeth thought about what real family meant. True family isn't determined by blood alone. Relationships where people care for, respect, and support each other, that's what real family is. Her husband and children around her, and the friends who understood and supported her, were her true family. That night, after the children had fallen asleep in the hotel room, Elizabeth and David talked while looking at the night view from the balcony. "You've really changed these past 6 months," David said. "You seem to shine much brighter than before." "Maybe because I learned to value myself," Elizabeth answered. "For a long time, I could only measure my worth through devotion to others. But that was wrong. You're a valuable person just as you are." Elizabeth teared up at her husband's words. The unconditional love she had sought for 38 years had actually been in her hands from the beginning. The next night, on the plane returning to New York, Elizabeth wrote in her diary, "A new life begins today. A life that starts with loving and valuing myself. Family isn't just about blood relations. The people I've chosen, and the people who have chosen me, they are my real family." The New York night view outside the window seemed to shine more beautifully than ever. Elizabeth smiled, confident that a new chapter was beginning. A chapter of truly happy life that starts with loving oneself.